Hey guys, long time no see. So what's up? Today's video is going to be a March reading wrap up. I did not read a whole lot in January and February. I was kind of in a very long reading slump, and probably only read like 6 books total in the past like 2.5 months. But in March I finally got out and I have a big stack right here of books. Let's see, I never counted. 1, 2, 3, 8 books I read this month, and I'm currently reading a 9th right now. I'm in the middle of it. So I'm gonna show you guys all the books I read this month. I suck at summarizing books, so I'm not gonna really try to. I'm just gonna kind of tell you what I rated them, what I liked, what I didn't like about them, and if you want a summary. A lot of these books are popular on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, and so I'm sure you've heard of most of them, but if not, you can totally just go look it up on Goodreads or something like that, because it's going to be a way better description than what I'm going to give. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first 2 books I read were the second 2 books in a trilogy. So I read It's Not Summer Without You. This one I thrifted, hence the old cover. And then I read We'll Always Have Summer. And I really loved this series. It's a really nice, easy read, and I think that's why it like helped me get out of my reading slump, is because it's a nice, easy series. All of the books are like less than 300 pages. So they're really short reads, and they're on the easier end of YA books. So keep that in mind when you want to read them. They're so good. They give the best summer vibes. I loved the romance in it. It was just a good, simple read, and you'll see a theme in a lot of these books. A lot of them give off good summer vibes, which is what I really needed this month. So we have a theme. So I rated the second book, It's Not Summer Without You, 4 out of 5 stars. And then I rated We'll Always Have Summer, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Overall, the series was super good. I loved it. I definitely 10 out of 10 recommend the series. Next book I read is probably the best book I've ever read in my entire life. It's probably my #1 read of my lifetime. I think it's my favorite book ever. Still. And like right after I read it, I was like crying because it was over. I read this book in a day and a half. Not joking. A day and a half I read this book. The Summer of Broken Rules by Kale Walther. Just look at this cover, first of all. Can we admire this cover? This is so gorgeous. And the cover just describes the vibes of the book. It takes place during summer, on Martha's Vineyard. Do I have to say any more? It's a YA romance. It's just, I literally rated this 6 out of 5. I love this book with all of my being. I'm gonna reread this book about 500 times and still not get sick of it. Go read this book right now. If you haven't already, go buy this book right now. If you haven't already, you need to read it. It's the best book ever and gives the best summer vibes. I'm gonna read this once it's nice out again, and I'll probably read it at the beach when I read it next time. So this is the best book I've ever read. 6 out of 5. I don't even care. 6 out of 5. And then I finished a book that I started in the middle of December, and then I stopped about 200 pages in because I just wasn't into it. It wasn't like super bad, so I didn't DNF it, but I just picked it up this month, and it's The People We Meet on Vacation. I absolutely loved A Beach Read by Emily Henry. This book I gave 3 out of 5 stars, and I was considering 2.5. I was considering 2 stars for the longest time, but like the last like 100 pages saved it. Like I said, I read the first like 200 pages and I just could not get into it. and then I picked it up again, and like the last 100 pages saved the book, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't super amazing, especially after this book. It was still really good. I expected like better, like more like vacation, summer vibes from this book, and it really didn't give it. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was okay. I was reading the good part of it, so that's why I was able to finish it. But it took me a while. Then I read another amazing book this month. It was so good. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This copy is so beaten up and like destroyed. The pages are like brown. Because I got it for $2 at the thrift store. So I can't be mad about it. It was so good. I loved this book. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars just because there was something about it that like, I think it was probably because a lot of people hyped it up. And so I was expecting a lot from it. It still was so good. It just, because it was so hyped up, I was like, I couldn't give it a 5 because I was expecting just a tad bit more from it. But I definitely recommend reading this book. It was super good. Again, I read this one in like 2 days, I think. I was on like a really big like book obsession for like 2 weeks where I read like all these books in like a span of 2 weeks. So, yeah. This one was really good though. This one is childhood friends to lovers type vibes. They don't see each other for like 11 years and then they see each other again. I'm sure you've heard of this one. It's super popular. And then it kind of veering away from the romance summer vibes, I read The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. So I watched the movie of this probably almost a year ago maybe, and then I saw this at the thrift store. This is another one I thrifted, because it's not one I would necessarily go out and buy new, but if I found it thrifted I would buy it. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It's super good. I love like kind of dystopian, it's not really dystopian, it's more like end of the world apocalypse vibes and less dystopian. But I love that genre of books, and so I like this one. It is like multiple POVs. I think there's four POVs, which I did not expect. I expected it to only be from Cassie's point of view, the main character. I still consider her the main character even though it was multiple POV. Because of the movie. But it was really good. It took me about a month to read, but this was one of the books where it was really good, but I wasn't like putting any pressure to read it. I kind of was like reading it slowly between books. And so, yeah, I started it like a month ago, but yeah, it was really good. And I have the second book in the series and I'm going to read it. The second book is like half of the length of this one, and same with the last one. I don't know why. But I have the second book. I got that from Thrift Books, and so I'm going to read that at some point. It's not at the top of my list, but yeah, this was really good. The last book I read this month is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I don't know who hasn't read it at this point. It took me a while to get to. It was really good. I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Again, I think the hype kind of ruined it for me, and I expected more than I got because of all the hype around it, which is why I try really hard to lower my expectations for books that are super popular, but I have a hard time doing that, and then they end up not living up to my expectations. But it was super good. I did really love it. Yeah, go read it. It's a really good romance if you're looking for one. And then the book I'm currently reading right now is Caraval. I think that's how you say it. And I'm about 150 pages in. Yeah, about 150 pages in. It's pretty good so far. It's a fantasy book, which I did not read any fantasy this month, which is kind of surprising because I usually read a lot more fantasy than romance, but I think this month, because of the reading slump, I just needed something nice and easy to read. But this is a light fantasy book, and it's got some romance in it, so I think it's a good transition back to reading more fantasy, because I definitely have a lot of fantasy on my TBR list and not a lot of romance. So I kind of want to read more fantasy this coming month. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for coming along. If you guys have any good book recommendations, leave them down below. Even though my TBR shelf has literally 50 books on it, I have a problem. Don't worry about it. And yes, hopefully you will see my face again soon. Because I definitely always want to post videos. I can't get past editing. That's always the hard part for me. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.